Hey, welcome to a new episode. Today is the big day. This is the Elite Showcase. It's the main reason that I came to Indonesia this time around, and it's an event that I'm excited to see because I've heard so many good things about it. It basically brings the best of the best together in one venue, and what a nice venue it is. Air-conditioned space, huge exhibition hall. It kind of reminds me of, a Tokyo Auto Salon kind of venue, basically reflecting on what the best builds in the country are all about. So without further ado, I think the best way to approach this is just walk in and start taking a look at what really stands out. So here we are in the venue, and as you can hear, I'm going to be struggling this time around because the PA is really loud. I'm going to keep my voice level as loud as I can, but hopefully you guys can hear what I'm saying. And we're just going to start walking because there's so much to see today. There's over 300 cars inside and out. There's also an outside portion which we have to go check out, and we're just going to get going. And I do recognize some cars from another show I visited last year, IMX, but the freshness is definitely here. I had a quick walk around already, and there's so much good stuff. And we'll kind of try to stop and have a look at something that stands out, like this CLK wide body here with over fenders. I haven't seen one of these since Pandem made a kit back in the day. We're talking like 10 years ago. And you'll also notice a lot of hypercars, supercars around. There is a big kind of component to the show made out of cars like these, but we got to stop and look at kind of more affordable cars like the M2, brand new car here, sitting on some custom wheels, and always great to find some Kyusha awesomeness. S30Z on Watanabe's. Let's take a look around here, what it looks like from the back. Super sweet 270Z right next to a black Supra on black BBS wheels. The Supra game is strong here in Indonesia. I've already seen so many since I've been here. They really do love their JZA 80s in the country, along with pretty much else. There is a big love for JDM cars in Indonesia, and one of the things that I always kind of notice when I come to Indonesia is just the level of tuning. In other Asian countries, they really go for the looks and some of the modifications, but when it comes to really hardcore tuning, I really think Indonesia is really up there as one of the best countries in Southeast Asia. We're going for like big power, custom, engine swaps, and even a front-wheel drive to four-wheel drive conversion. We've seen it all here. This wide body 86 kind of looks familiar. I may have seen it before, but I do like the batik style pattern overlaid on the acres of carbon that cover this car. Nice VIP Nissan sedan here on VS's. There's a few E30s around. Really cool to be seeing that. Little EG and another E30 down here on the corner. I'm trying to work my way across the entire show floor. Kind of what I did at WeekFest a couple of weeks back in Japan. And we're gonna get going across here. Lots of bikes on display too. As you probably kind of figure out, the most popular way to get around in Indonesia is with bikes, scooters, and mopeds. I really dig the love for VIP that it seems to be in this country as well. Really cool to be seeing that. A Mazda Tenza wagon, nice Crown, tons of VIP stuff on this lineup. And then we have interesting cars like this. So this is a Toyota Kaji, I believe, and it's a local market Toyota. And coming in, I actually saw one with a 1U swap. We'll have to go back outside and take a look. But I guess this is the engine that it usually comes with. And it's quite surprising that they managed to squeeze a V8 in there. So we'll definitely have to go take a look. outside for that. Another of those local market Toyota vans sitting on some Ferrari rims. Interesting combination. And now we go into the real JDM corner here, starting off with a crazy GDB Impreza, which seems to be sitting on Nismo wheels. Interesting take. Massive brake calipers back there. And like I mentioned, you will be noticing how every aspect in the car is really done to the fullest here. Every detail, like right down to the brakes, suspension, every component is top tier. Tandem kitted EG6 here on P1 racing wheels. I always love how the Pandem kit looks on an EG. I think Miura-san really smashed it out. I remember shooting the very first car that had this kit on back at Greddy, Trust Greddy in Japan. God, it must have been like 8 to 10 years ago now. Nice S2000 from Garage One. Going for that spoon look. And there's no look about it here. Everything you see is legit parts and components, right down to the spoon calipers. It's got the hardtop, the teardrop hardtop that kind of swoops back towards the tail, creating that crazy super Taikyu look to the S2000. E46 M3 convertible on HREs and big Brembo 6 spots. Another car on Ferrari rims. This is a Golf wide body with over fenders. Even a V35 generation coupe Skyline. Haven't seen these cars much in Japan. They kind of disappeared over the years. It was never really a popular platform for tuning, at least in Japan. I know it was in the US, but great to be seeing one sitting on 19-inch T37s, 6-spot AP Racing, front brake calipers. A really nice way to build a car that, you know, most people wouldn't even think about. Right next to it, sister car, the Z34 Fairlady Z, again T37s. But the surprising thing is this: I had no idea that this car was actually being sold here, and probably isn't. You know, a lot of people in Indonesia go through absolute hell and torture to bring cars in. It's really expensive business bringing these cars in, with the kind of impossible import regulations and the duty on top of what you pay for the cars. It would put most people off, but you know, car guys here in Indonesia are so passionate that they really go through absolute, like, most people just would give up and just kind of buy something local. But I've heard stories of people going through insanity basically to bring their dream car into the country, and I do wonder how this new gen Nismo Z managed to get in here. FL5 Type R, again from Garage One, sitting on T37s. I have a feeling I'm going to be saying T37s quite a lot today. Badass. Kind of time attack look Evo on C28s. These must be the, yeah, they are. These are the pluses, the brand new version of the C28s. Really cool to be seeing that. Altezza, always cool to see one like this, especially with the TRD package here. Gotta love those rims. TRD branded brakes. I'm not sure if that was a thing or they're actually made custom. And on to a little fit on C28s. You know, it's interesting, I just said I'm gonna be saying T37s a lot today, but I think C28s is also a wheel that I'm gonna be kind of quoting a lot today. Really cool Aristo on C28s. Those Brembo GT calipers, 6 spots. peeking through, and what a great looking car. Just simply done, not much, just a few details just to get the looks on point. These cars age so well, it's really incredible how fresh they still look. Right next to that, an Evo wagon on some BBS Motorsport E88s, big favorite of mine. And again, more BBS action here for this crazy looking matte black M3 wagon. I do love how they really kind of take their time to create something special out of German cars too. Part selection is really on point, but what always works for me, I don't know about you guys, is always seeing Japanese wheels on German cars. Again, CE28s on this 3 Series sedan. GR86, and we end up the lineup with another car running CE28s. Beautiful FD RX-7, a Spirit R nonetheless. Nice EF Civic here on what looks like some Seeker wheels maybe. Check this E36 out. It's got the over fenders and that kind of extended lip. E88s with the Brembo calipers on the side there. They seem to be like a favorite go-to for brake packages here in Indonesia. Real nice all around. Such a cool looking M3 and so much carbon too. You know, it's kind of difficult to gauge cars at a show like this when you see them like closed up, no engines on display, but you know, even looking inside, full roll cage, bucket seats, it looks like something really, really special. So we have an Evo 5 here on some race 21Cs. These are always a big favorite when you're kind of running over fenders or a wide body. That deep dish really does fill up the guards quite nicely. We walk over to a slightly older generation Evo, and one car that you don't really see in Japan so often these days unless you go really searching for them. I'm always a big fan of the Evo 3. It's the one to have from that first batch, from that first generation of Evos. A Toyota Altezza Gita. So Gita is the station wagon variety, which coincidentally sits next to the M3 wagon. But pretty cool to be seeing even this car in Indonesia. You know, they really appreciate standing out. So when you want to stand out, you go for models that are kind of like off the beaten path, you know, harder to find, harder to get, or you know, people don't really know because they weren't made in such big numbers. So really cool to be seeing that. And we end up this lineup with the E92 M3. So this is something we really have to talk about. So I'm a big Jimny fan, and I'm kind of sad that for the time being, Japan does not get the 4-door version of the new gen Jimny. This is the second one I see in Indonesia, and I have to say they look absolutely amazing. Like the proportions are really interesting because actually, you know what? Let me go around this side because it's probably easier to see. So basically, they just kept the stock front door from the 2-door, and then just added this kind of like almost half-width door for the rear section. And the wheelbase is absolutely massive. It's so stretched. It kind of looks almost like a mini Jeep Wrangler. Lifted up like this with aftermarket wheels really does accentuate that kind of look. Very interesting way to kind of enter the affordable off-road market. Please, Suzuki Japan, let's get this. Lonely Civic here, an FD generation, running a very highly modified K-Series with a big turbo next to it. We do like a bit of craziness, and that looks super nice. Good to be seeing a car with the hood open, or at least off in this case. I would love to be seeing more engine bays. Look at this wild thing. What on earth is this? This is incredible. Kind of looks like an RC car body stretched over like a really widened front and rear track. I'm guessing this is a drift car. Take a look at this wide body Porsche Cayman. It looks insane. Like from a distance, I actually thought it was a 911 because if you come around the back here and look at the rear 3/4, it kind of has a bit of a 911 hint. Fusion of many styles, a bit of a RWB thrown in there. This thing is absolutely massively wide. Love the exposed exhaust there with a cut bumper. Super aggressive. Offset there to fill those guards. And right next to it, a very special looking S2000. Kind of given the same look, massively widened. Sitting on rotiform wheels. Look at that. Kind of GT car. Fender work there. Amazing. Really fresh approach to creating something modern, something fresh with an S2000. Let's take a look inside. I'm very much liking this. Good job to whoever built this. Line up here with a couple of GTRs. I do like this R32 painted in midnight purple, sitting against some black LM GT4s. And I actually spotted an old school Gredi brake package front and back. Indonesians do love their GTR, so we're going to be seeing quite a lot of special ones today. R34 here with Nismo fenders, Generation 1 Nismo bumper, and kind of an auto select look up here at the front with all these canards. V-Spec 2. I'm not sure if you see, but this is a big issue with V-Spec 2 hoods. After years of being produced, the carbon top layer starts sagging over the pattern underneath, and you can see all the little squares across the surface. But really cool build, very track focused kind of look, and I'm sure it's got performance to match. Talk about period correct. Check out the rims on this 80 series Supra. Love the TRD wing at the back. So simple when you kind of leave these cars alone. I mean, I'm not saying like wide bodies don't look good, but you know, there's something so you know, refreshing, nice to kind of see a car left in its stock state. One more spoon themed S2000 build here. It's really cool to be seeing one in white, because usually everybody goes for the kind of legit yellow spoon color, but this kit looks probably even cooler in white. It has a kind of prototype pre-production test car feel about it. You can easily see the Niova pattern there, and the spoon brakes hiding behind the raised forged rims. As I was saying, there is a lot of exotic stuff here in Indonesia. Hell, even a new Emira. There'll be a lot more on the other side of the show. And before we do that, let's get back to some JDM goodness. I'm not sure if this is a real T-Spec, but it has a T-Spec color. Wide body front fenders here. Yokohama R6s for the wheels. Next to it, fans of Fast and Furious will be happy to see this. Good to see there's a couple of Fortune kits here in Indonesia too. Super nice EG build here. People really do love their spoon calipers here. Little T37s. Quite like the Aero fender here at the front. Nice addition, as are the spoon mirrors. And again, like a lot of cars here, I do wonder what's happening under the hood. Next to it, an EK on some work Seeker wheels. Nice color. Sitting next to an insane looking Audi. Wow, what on earth is happening here? It's like a DTM RS3 for the road. Sitting next to this dumped 911. And if I'm not mistaken, it has a really sweet ducktail at the back. Very nice. And the variety continues with a station wagon Impreza. Don't get to see too many of these cars these days. It's a bit of a treat. And if I'm not mistaken, this whole EK is in carbon fiber. Everywhere, every panel. A-pillars, roof, doors, rear quarters, spoiler, rear hatch, and the bumper. Complete carbon-bodied EK9 Civic. Possibly a Type R judging from the wheels, but who knows? A bit of American muscle Sandwiching a little Austin Cooper, GT 500 Mustang, and a couple of Jeep builds here. Of course, Jakarta isn't really the place you come for off-roading, but just outside the city, it does get very popular. So you do get some incredible builds in Indonesia when it comes to off-road cars. As we continue our walk through half of the hall here, I spot another nice R32 build. So this Liberty Walk kitted S15 Silvia from Garasi Drift is a car I saw last year at the IMX show, and they have it here on display next to another S15 build, which looks like it's wearing a GP Sports kit. Really nice to be seeing a bit of drift action here, or at least builds. You know, I was almost gonna say that the BMW M3 wagon is a rare car. You know, that kind of is true in Japan, as we just started getting a few of the first early production models trickling in. We're kind of like a year behind. But I come here to Jakarta and this is like the 10th one I see. And this thing is running aftermarket aero already. Look at this hood, it's insane. Big BMWs, Aston Martins, hell, even Minis get modified here. And we move on to a couple more Civics, another EG EK combo, both on spoon wheels and spoon calipers. Nothing like an EK9 Type R left as it should be left. Stock body, dropped on nice wheels, and nice little additions like a carbon hood and a carbon roof spoiler. Nice Porsche 991 build. Turbo base and running a bit of a mild hybrid conversion with the GT3, kind of like a crossover. LMRs with an insane amount of dish. I mean, I have to give it to the organizers of Elite. They really have put together an incredible variety. And speaking of variety, what on earth is this? So what I'm seeing here is an Evo 6 Tommy Mäkinen front end, bumper, headlight, hood, fender conversion, grafted on to the front of a Mitsubishi Mirage. Rally Art livery. What an interesting Frankenstein car. Still has Japanese plates. Next up, Mugen themed EG6 build. Even has a steering wheel cover. And then we end up at a few BMWs. Glorious V10 powered M5 next to an E30 and some old school BBS rims. Good to be seeing that the 86 platform is very popular here in Indonesia. It continues to be the entry level into the kind of tuning scene, drift scene, whatever you want to call it, for so many young kids. And right down to this Yunus Roadster here next to the RX-8 we just passed. So I turn a corner here and again I'm impressed at what I'm seeing. Like, you know, a Chevy truck at a show like this is something I would never have expected. It kind of goes to show the whole variety that we have here. We're sitting next to possibly the most Indonesian car here. This is a Honda Brio, heavily modified. Got a bit of Jay's Racing action happening across the body, but you have to take a look at the engine on this thing. Crazy turbo setup, custom intake plenum feeding a little intercooler mounted in the bumper, and there's Mr. Boost doing his job. Okay, now we're talking 180SX on some Advan 3 spokes. I love this look. It's so 90s it hurts. And I do love the old school AP Racing brake calipers. And here's a rim that I noticed is getting a little bit more popular these days. We saw a lot of these at Weekfest a couple of weeks back, the Work RS. It's incredible what you can actually do with this rim when you start like coloring it. You do custom kind of color matching. It really does sit so nice on so many cars. Super nice K-swap on this EG6. Gotta love the Mugen wheels. E30, another 4-door Jimny, customized already. I don't know how long these guys have been getting this car, but that's quite impressive. Sitting next to a Daihatsu Feroza, another Indonesian market creation here. I've been seeing a lot of these things on the road. Not looking like this. Usually they're kind of lifted up on off-road tires. This has gone for a little bit of a track feel, track look. A Toyota Scarlet. Not the Starlet, the Scarlet with a C. At least that's what it said on the back. It's a Starlet over here. All stock, restoration, paint matched engine bay. Oh wow, look at this. Bit of prelude action, and you see what I mean with these work RSs? It just looks so good. Here's another perfect example of how people really go full out here in Indonesia. But that's an impressive engine bay on an Impreza. Even has nitrous. And the best part, it's not even too crazy. Look at this lineup. They got a nice selection of fit RSs. This one's gone for the full spoon look. We've seen this countless times today already. Loving it, just never gets old. You can do this to any Honda and it'll just be super cool. And we have one here where you can actually look at the engine, and the music is back. I'll have to bump up the volume here. Look at all the lobster tail welding happening there. Come out here outside the hall where there's a little bit more of a display that I definitely wanted to take a look at, and hopefully it's a little bit quiet here so you guys can actually hear what I'm talking about. So let's get going with this E34 BMW on some BBSs. Clean car, but right behind it is something even cleaner and very rare indeed. This is a Alpina C1 2.3. As you can tell here by the signature Alpina wheels. And this was the Kijang I was talking about when we saw the one with the Ferrari wheels and the other one's next to it. This is the one with the 1U swap. So this is a 4-liter Lexus engine out of a LS400 Toyota Celsior. So pretty impressive that they managed to shoehorn that big of a motor into what it is pretty much like a half van, half kind of like off-roader, solid rear axle. Oh, but it has the all important Lexus V8 badge here. There's some track cars here from the recent JDM Fun Day that was held at Mandalika, the renewed track in another island of Indonesia a couple of weeks ago. So you can see what kind of cars go out on track here in Jakarta. So while this Evo is pretty out there, I have to say this BMW M2 with a wide body conversion, my god, what is this? You can actually see how much the car is being widened, and it's a back mono. There's actually two of these at the show today, one inside and this one here in the foyer outside. Exposed carbon fiber through that blue top coat. I'm not really sure why it's covered. I guess they're showing that you can actually park it up and not have stuff land in the cabin. But yeah, the single-seater back mono, an F1 over the street. I would love to drive one of these. I don't even know if I can fit in one. Spotted this 180 on what looks like a Pandem wide body kit. Cool to be seeing these kind of drift builds. They kind of make you stop. You know, I've seen so many 180 SXs, but for me to actually stop and take notice, I'm kind of always looking for something different. Here's that second BAC mono. Again, just like the other one, wearing that cover for the cockpit. Notice there's a Camber Gang sticker on each of the next 4 cars. I guess they have a link to the club in Japan. Check out this E46 4-door M3 look. Ending with a 5 Series. Alright, here's a familiar name. If you recall, on my last visit to Indonesia, I went to check out Engine Plus, amazing workshop that built some amazing cars, and they have one car on display here at their booth. Another EG Civic, crazy build. So meticulously put together, high-end parts across the board, right down to those JRZ dampers with the remote reservoirs mounted to suspension turrets. And inside, it's all business, one seat only. Little shifter upgrade there, Recaro bucket, and all stripped out. Do feel like I'm at Weekfest or Stance Nation in Japan, seeing so many German cars slammed on all sorts of wheels. But look at this, what do we have here? A little Honda City Turbo. Now the big question always when you see these cars, if there's a motor compo in the back, it is truly the complete package. And indeed, look what we have back here. That is so dope. An EK wagon with seriously modified engine. Little turbo kit hiding in front of the motor there, and I quite like this because it actually goes for the Castrol colored Accord that was raced in the GT series in Japan. Obviously it doesn't say Castrol, it says Orido. I wonder if that's to do with the fact that Orido is actually here at the show. We'll actually see later on if he's back at his booth. He wasn't there earlier this morning, but we'll have a look. Well, here's something I never expected to see. This is a Wuling EV Chinese import that's slammed down on some BBS wheels. Amazing what you can find at the Elite show here in Jakarta. Let's see what this car is actually called. I have literally no idea. Of course, we don't get any Chinese cars in Japan yet, except for BYD. So it's all new to me. It's called the Bingguo EV. Next to it, a Liberty Walk kitted Mini Cooper Works. I really don't know how these owners are able to drive their cars here in Jakarta when they're sitting that low. We've been driving around so much these last few days, and I have to say the roads are pretty rough, really bumpy. So I really hope that these cars air up to some decent height to clear those imperfections. So the cool thing about this car is the fact that it's actually painted with a spray-on type of vinyl, which you can actually peel off. I mean, you can keep it on for as long as you want. There's no kind of like, you know, duration limit to these like wraps. But when you get tired of it, you just literally peel it off like this. Well, this is a familiar lineup. This is all out of JEDM Garage, minus the second Tech Art 992 Turbo S that we haven't seen yet. So starting off with the NSXR here, we go onto this kind of fluorescent yellow GT Street R Featherweight that is the sister car to the one that we've been playing around with for the last few days, and that was with us on that drive to Bandung last week. Next to it, one of the craziest R35 builds that I have ever driven. I took this out for a spin last night. I didn't do a video on this yet. I really hope I can get to do it while I'm over this time, but I can't guarantee anything. Time is what it is. But this thing is basically powered by a complete GT1000 HKS engine. It even has the billet transmission from HKS, one of only 20 pieces ever made, and it just looks insane. Now, it's a good thing that I keep just lapping over and over again, because sometimes you come to cars that you've seen before and then the hood is open and you discover that the car that you thought was already cool is so much cooler. So this blue FD, which kind of looks stockish from the outside, I was kind of commenting on before how good it looked with the C28 SLs. This thing runs a 4-rotor NA from PPRE. It's a car built by XS Automotive, and I'm in love. I just love the simplicity of it, and it just packs a punch once you take a look under the hood. If I really had to pick a car to feature from the show, it would definitely be this FD. So I'm gonna try and get that on my last day here in Jakarta and maybe do a feature on it. Let's see if that's possible. That'll be super sick. I just heard that the owner of Garage One is actually the owner of this entire 37 car lineup. So every car you see with this Garage One number plate is owned by one guy. I gotta stop at this GT3 RS once again to give it a little bit more love, kind of drool over the details. And you know what? As much as I love the GT3 RS, I mean, it's a total dream car, you kind of have to wonder why Porsche didn't go with a bit of carbon on these details here. I know you can add them as a factory option, but at least the fender vents, maybe this extractor here on the side, it could have been carbon. Come on, Porsche. Still looks sick as a nice SLS AMG. Pretty much my favorite Mercedes of all time. There we go again, the folded mirrors. This thing is just too good looking. This car's aged beautifully well. It still looks very modern, and I guess once you open that gull wing door on each side, it's going to be far more compelling than any modern day SL or GT from Mercedes. In an attempt to escape the PA systems, I came up here to end the Elite Showcase coverage. I hope you really enjoyed taking a look at the best, the upper crust of what Indonesian car culture, the tuning scene is all about. We went through so many cars, and there's so many more that I would love to shoot, and it kind of gives me a reason to come back to Indonesia in the future. But until then, I hope you enjoyed it, and make sure you check back soon because we got a lot more coming.